From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey, boys and girls, and everybody else. Welcome to episode number 202 of From the Middle, a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview style podcast hosted by three middle class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of their lives with points of view that generally fall somewhere in the middle. My name's Kory. That's Kendall. Dillon's on a plane. And in this week's episode, we talk about a lot of different things. Number one, why I hate the song The A-Team by Ed Sheeran. Kendall goes back to the bike shop and remembers to turn his bike the proper way. Torchy's Tacos is amazing. The movie Air is amazing. John Mulaney's special is amazing. And what's not amazing is bad service at a restaurant and people who don't like when you come to Kroger when there's 15 minutes left before they close. Enjoy this week's episode. Bye.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here. One of my favorite features of our vehicles is Apple CarPlay.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Game changer.
Game changer for sure. In fact, Sherry said, I won't buy a car if it doesn't have Apple CarPlay.
Absolutely.
And there are some versions of Apple CarPlay that have better features, whatever. One of the downsides, every single time I plug my phone in, it automatically starts playing the totality of my song playlist since I've ever started purchasing songs on Apple Music, and always starts with Ed Sheeran's song, The A-Team.
Okay.
Because it's alphabetically first.
Yeah.
I now despise that song because I hear the first 10 seconds of it every single time I plug my phone in. I know people like to hate on Ed Sheeran in general, but man, that song. And it reminded me the most surefire way to start hating a song is to add it to a playlist of favorite songs, because you then hear it more often and get tired of it. And the more specific the song is, the more quickly I find you get tired of it.
Interesting.
And just for all those listeners out there, just go listen to the first 10 seconds of the A-Team and you'll see why it's especially annoying. It starts with this little guitar riff that's, anyway.
I'm sorry to hear that. I agree about the Apple CarPlay, though, and its usefulness. And we rented a van last year that had wireless CarPlay, and that was the thing. Like in the Chrysler 300 that I had regular plug-in Apple CarPlay, CarPlay, and it was fun. It was great, but I didn't find myself using it a ton, just because I didn't want to take my phone out of my pocket and plug it into something.
Yeah.
And then when we got this rental van on our Nashville trip last year that had the wireless AirPlay, I tell you what, that was just eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, now this is useful.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that same van as what we bought last year.
Sold.
I really wanted. I don't know if I would have not have purchased a vehicle, but I really wanted wireless AirPlay.
Yeah.
And now that I have it, I think any future vehicle is going to have wireless AirPlay, because it is just that much more useful.
See, I've not gotten to experience that, and I'm just now recalling that I told the story wrong. Let me correct my own story. I'm doing real-time fact checking.
Oh, fact check, right in the middle of the fact check.
The car has Apple CarPlay. The van does not. So like in the car, I can choose another song, and by the time I plug it in, it's playing that song. The van doesn't. It's also a Honda, but it's an older model, so it doesn't. It's a 2015. And so it just defaults. That's what it is. It just defaults to your overall song list, and it starts. It doesn't do a shuffle. It does a start from song one, no matter what you do. So even if you pull up a YouTube video that you want to not watch because that's dangerous, but like have playing while you're driving, the minute you plug it in, it goes dong, dong, dong. It's the first couple things to the point where I'm like, no, and the kids are like, God, we just can't stand the first 10 seconds of the A-Team by Ed Sheeran.
Oh boy.
Anyway, how are you, man? That was a weird intro to a show, but it is what it is, and it was top of mind for me.
Hey, it's us, dude.
It is us.
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Feeling better. It's been rainy and dreary recently, which has been put a dampener on bike riding, because we kind of decided that this is going to be the summer that we're going to like become a cycling family, I guess. And so
cycling started off karate.
Woo! Cycling and karate all in one year. Boy, if I don't lose weight in 2023, there's no hope. No, it started with my wife finding bikes to upgrade the kids from bikes last year because they're growing, and anybody, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, you recycle bikes when you have growing kids pretty quickly. Having one kid who's big enough now that he can get into a bike that he can ride for the next few years, because it's actually like a smallish kind of adult size-ish kind of bike. And then having the other two kids think, oh, I think I can do that. And sure enough, they can. And so outfitting all three of them, me wanting to bike the kids to school and back every day just for health reasons, and it'd be fun. And so found a bike for myself. I'm a big guy who has to think about weight limits, and eventually found a brand called Zeiss Bikes that like makes bikes for guys like me, and ordered one from them. Got a good deal on it, and it arrived last week. Took the kids to school the next day, and it's rained ever since. So we went on a family bike ride on Saturday morning, but
cold, gray, and wet. It's my least favorite time. When it does that. But yeah, it's the old, you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. Exciting about the bike though. That's really fun. We did that when we first moved to the suburbs. We're not suburb people traditionally. Sherry and I, we country folk. She grew up on a farm, and I grew up in the woods next to a bunch of farms. And so the suburbs was not like a thing we were used to. But then we quickly realized, oh, it's really fun to just pop down to the little neighborhood pond and do a little fishing, or ride bikes to friends' houses and things like that, or through the neighborhood on a quiet evening at sunset. This is really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did the thing of going through and like buying bikes for ourselves, and have really enjoyed it. Now the neighborhood has decided, and we've talked about this in a previous episode, oh, we're all doing golf carts now.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And that's super annoying, but you're enjoying the bike. That's good to hear.
I am. And this has caused me to become familiar with the bike shop. If you remember previously, I took what is my wife's bike, and to get it tuned up for some things, I'm like, and one of the things on my list to have them look at was the front brakes, which seemed to be stuck. And I took it in, and immediately, before I even got it out, like I wanted them to look at that, the lady grabbed the bike and said, well, let me just take care of one thing for you, and spun the handlebars 360 degrees.
Let me just turn this right around for you.
And that fixed the brakes. And so I'm already like, this bike shop, she was super kind about it. Everyone there has been really great. I love this place. I don't know much about bikes and cycling. This year is the year that we're kind of starting to get into it as a family. And I'm the one who's taking bikes in and asking for advice and all of this stuff. And like me being a guy like in the automotive shop world for all those years, like even though like I understand the customer who comes in and doesn't know what they're talking about and they're self-conscious about it.
Sure.
But like, I'm still that guy. Well, if I walk into any place that like I'm not confident about the thing, that obviously I'm not confident in it, otherwise wouldn't be taking it to you, but I'm, for some reason, it still makes me feel awkward and weird, and I want to know more than I do. And so like that moment in the bike shop just ate at me. And then so we get a used bike for the first child who got the larger bike, brought it in just for a basic tune-up, nothing that we could find wrong with it, and that's all they did. The tune-up stuff, adjusted the brakes on it, all that good stuff, tightened bolts. And then the next bike to come in our way for the kids shouldn't have been any problems with it. This bike was a new bike in a box that came from not really a secondhand store, but like an overstock store, one of these places that buys from other retailers and things that they can't sell. So this bike that was probably like on a Target showroom somewhere, had never been ridden, came in a box. All we had to do was like put the front wheel on. And my wife and I, like, we're trying to figure this thing out, and like the brakes are rubbing every time we try to like spin the front tire. I did check to make sure the handlebars were not, because I knew that now, have experience.
Pass backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And can't figure this out whatsoever. And so I had to go and bring that into the guy. And again, I had that feeling of, I wish I knew what I was doing. And I literally had to tell the guy, it's a brand new bike. And all I had to do was put a wheel on it. And
I think I may have done that wrong.
That was too much.
Do you do the thing? And I wonder if this applies for any listeners. Do you do the thing when you're taking anything to any specialist where you like rehearse how you're going to say it?
Yeah, I do.
Like there's the Brian Regan joke about him knowing nothing about cars and he has to make the sound to the mechanic, which we've talked about on the cast before. And you said is actually, it sounds comical, but it's actually sometimes helpful because we have words that we say that mean different things to different people. Squeak, whistle, clang, hum, whatever, onomatopoeia can get tricky. So if you actually just make the noise, that can tell a person who knows enough to know whatever. I do that too. And I'm realizing more and more how like anxious and insecure I can sometimes be, but I'm taking something to somebody and like rehearsing it in the car and then like, don't say that. That sounds stupid. Like you kind of want to act like you know enough to describe it well.
Yeah.
But then you're going to get to a point of diminishing returns where you can no longer help explain it. You kind of just have to mentally hand the problem over to them and go, I don't know, you figure it out.
Right. Yeah. All the while trying to sound like you're not rehearsed.
Right. Exactly.
Remember, I'm just one of the natural cool guys that can just kind of come in and say what's on his mind.
It's like in Tommy Boy where he's like, oh, don't mind me. I'm just checking the rotary specs on the inline girder. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm like I'm like at a hardware store and I'm like, at my house I've got like there's a flange and I gotta connect that with a T-bracket situation. If do you have any sort of like so
absolutely.
Was the guy able to help?
Yeah, we got the bike back and it's all fixed up, good to go. So that's where we are. That's what's up with us. How are you?
I'm good. It reminded me of a story of walking into a place where I knew exactly what I wanted, and so we got a Torchy's Tacos down the road now at Polaris at the fashion place. Torchy's, if you don't know, started in Austin, Texas, grew to Greater Texas, and then has now franchised out. It started as a food truck, and they make freaking delicious tacos. And it opened summer of last year, and I think I've been 8 times. On the second or third time there, I think I brought Sherry, and a lady in line informed us that there's a secret menu.
Ooh.
So I started looking at the secret menu online. There's about 12 different tacos that don't exist on the menu. But the next time I went, I noticed that the guy in front of me just said, "Can I take a look at your secret menu?" And I was like, that doesn't seem right. And the person at the cash register pulls out from under the cash drawer a laminated sheet that they clearly tell these people, don't whip this out unless somebody asks for it. And it has like half of the options that I saw online. So I've been experimenting with some of the different secret menu items. So So this past week, I had a big break in my calls during the workday, and it had been a sort of stressful week. And one of my favorite things to do is go to the movies. And so big break in the middle of the day, all the kids are in school. I was like, I'll go catch a matinee. So I watch an 11:15 showing of the Amazon Studios film Air, which is the story of how Nike ended up partnering with Michael Jordan on the Air Jordans. And it's it's a really good movie. And I was on my way back and I'm like, you know what? I'll stop at Torchy's. So I waltz into Torchy's and I had a few secret menu items on my phone that I thought about getting, but I wanted to see, will they pull out the laminated card thing for me if I ask? Yeah. So I'm like, can I take a look at your secret menu? And the girl goes, it's secret. And I was like, yeah, but, and then she laughed and handed it to me, right?
Okay.
So, after she does that, her manager from around the corner goes, when you walked in, I knew you were a secret menu guy. And I was like, I'm not sure what that says about me, man. And I go, what gave it away? My girlish figure? And he said, hey, you know what I say? Body by queso. It was such a weird exchange, and I didn't know if I should be like offended or feel special.
Feel special.
You look like a secret menu guy.
How
would you take that?
Oh, me? I would probably want to shake that guy's hand and be his friend and be like, you and me, compadre. I feel like we could take down a whole bowl of queso. Just you and me.
We should go to Torchy's, man. It is something special.
Yeah, I like tacos.
So anyway, I thought that was funny and a great example of me knowing exactly what I want when I go into a place. But yeah, you should see Air. If anybody's interested, I'll get into my only streaming review for the week. It's a very good story. So it was another Ben Affleck, Matt Damon team up. Ben Affleck plays Phil Knight, who founded Nike. Matt Damon is in charge of NBA partnerships, and his boss is, and I'm always blanking on the guy's name from Ozark, Jason Bateman.
Yep.
So Matt Damon's boss is Jason Bateman, and their strategy had been, let's just find, because we can't afford the best rookies coming into the NBA. We don't have the same budget as Adidas and Converse. So they would typically take like guys number 7, 8, and 9 and divide their budget for sponsorships up amongst those three guys and just throw some Nikes on them. But without giving away the whole story, Matt Damon is watching some clips of Jordan and just decides like, we should put our whole budget on one guy, and risks his job doing so. And basically says, and no one had done this before, let's design the shoe around the player. So like the thing about Adidas at the time, they had Run DMC wearing the tracksuits. The superstars with the shell toes were super popular. Converse have looked the same since they started forever ago, and they had Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And so their whole value prop to players was, you want to be seen in the same shoes that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson wears. And then Matt Damon's character, and who knows how much of this is true to life or how it actually went down, but he's like, not only let's spend the whole budget on this kid Jordan, let's actually design the shoe around him and make a brand built around it. And no one, that concept had only been done. He was inspired in the movie by watching a tennis commercial where a famous tennis player said that he went to this racket company and they built a racket especially for him. And it's the whole, and you could use the same one, right?
Yeah.
So good. The whole 2-hour movie leads up to the pitch meeting between Nike and Michael and his parents. So the entire movie just is basically their prep for the pitch. And Nike was Michael's third choice. He didn't even want to have a meeting with Nike. And so I won't give away like what they ended up doing and how they ended up going about it. And, you know that the deal went through. So no surprise there, but so good and really enjoyed watching it. Interesting choice, I thought. They decided never to show the actor who played Michael's face in the entire film. And it was weird at first. And then I was like, I'm actually glad, because sometimes people get hung up that the actor doesn't look like the celebrity they're portraying.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they probably didn't want to do the motion capture thing like they did with Princess Leia in Rogue One.
I feel like it doesn't quite have the clout that would be required for people to look at that and be like, well, that's not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they walk into the meeting room and they're touring Nike, and like every shot is the actor portraying Michael looking away or like walking away from the camera. But they show the parents, and it was really about the mom was the driving force behind like sealing the deal. She's super smart. She totally knew how to negotiate and was really protective of Michael. And anyway, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of nuggets in there about business and marketing and whatever. But as somebody who now really enjoys the original Jordan 1 and the different colors that you can get of it, it was cool to watch it. I felt like an idiot because I wore my Adidas skate shoes to the movie. And I was like, I really should have wore some J's. But anyway, highly recommend. Go check it out. Again, it's Amazon Studios, so that's fun. And yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, if we're talking about streaming, I also only have one thing to add, but it was John Mulaney's new stand-up special, Baby J.
Yeah.
Which was so dark and fun.
Netflix, right?
Netflix, yeah. And the whole thing is, for those who don't know, John Mulaney relatively recently got out of rehab for a horrific drug addiction. I mean, you name it, he was addicted to it. And he had this whole intervention that he describes as sort of like the who's who of intervention. Seth Meyers is there, and these 12 people stage an intervention that catches him off guard. And the whole special is him telling basically his sobriety story.
Wow.
He talks about how far into it he was. He talks a lot about his the intervention itself, and then the actual rehab facility and what life has been like kind of shortly after rehab, and just like goes through that whole story arc in highly comedic fashion. It was John Mulaney's stand-up has always been kind of like upbeat, chipper, happy-ish, kind of well-rehearsed. And this is no different, but with a much darker plot. And so it was fun. It was fun to get to watch, and I enjoy it. I recommend it. It's one of the better stand-up comedy specials I've seen in the past handful of years. I feel like I don't know if you feel this way about stand-up comedy, but I do, where it's like I feel like I've seen all the great ones.
Yeah.
And now I'm like fishing when I
Yeah.
go to watch one and I get partway through it and I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for.
Doesn't quite deliver. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's why we get so excited when there's like a new Jim Gaffigan special or when there's a new John Papa special.
Because you're hoping, right? You're like,
Yeah,
come
because
on.
because those ones are like you're almost banking on. Like this will be one. John Mulaney scratched that itch for a while. Absolutely loved it.
Our friend Brad, who's been on the podcast, got to actually see that tour in Columbus. John Mulaney came to Nationwide, and that was the show that Mulaney had a surprise. He didn't open for him, but he just kind of gave him some stage time. Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
After a lot of the Dave Chappelle drama and the Dave Chappelle transgender stuff. And it was interesting because Brad was there and described how excited people got to see Dave Chappelle and how much they were laughing at his jokes, sort of making fun of himself and all of the headlines in news that were going around about him. One, getting attacked on stage, and then two, a lot of this drama around the transgender stuff, which he says, I'm not against, I just have a point of view on, but it comes in woke culture, it sort of comes out a very certain way. And Brad's like, oh, people were laughing and loving it. And then Brad shared with me after the fact the publications that came out describing the surprise visit by Dave Chappelle. And it's like, people were offended. No one thought it was funny. People felt threatened and subjected to it. And he was like, that's not even kind of how it went down.
Yeah.
And then on the John Mulaney stuff, I guess Mulaney opened with the line, you'll be able to tell people that you saw me right after I got out of rehab.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Brad was struck by, and I just shared, if you're watching us on YouTube, I just shared a photo of John Mulaney. He does not look like the type of person who would have a hardcore drug addiction. And John said that was actually part of the problem, because I look so put together and so like corporate America, polished, fine, nicely coiffed hair. I was able to cover it up really well, and people didn't really know the depths of what I was going through. So I was very interested to watch this, and I definitely will check it out after your recommendation. But love it when people can just be authentic and share, what they're going through and what he's now on the other side of.
Yeah. There was this one little detail in it, which is such a stupid thing that only I would notice. The entire backdrop lighting would change. Like just the color of the stage would change, which I'm fine with. But I was like about 15 minutes into it, where my mind looked at the backdrop and said, wait a minute, that's not the same backdrop that was on like at the beginning of the show. I literally rewound and to verify this fact. And then I'm like, when did they do that? Because I didn't notice when they did that. And so then I find the moment when they did it, and it was very well choreographed. There is a thing where you can program lights to say the light is blue now, I want it to be red, and I want you to take the next 3 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
Right. You can program that. And so I thought, surely that's what they did if like I didn't notice this. But no, it wasn't like a snap, but it was like over the course of 5 seconds, the color would change from like green to blue, but like a quick change from green to blue. Green to blue isn't that big of a change. Blue to purple, a quick change from blue to purple. Quick change, not that big of a deal. Purple to red. Again, quick change, but not that big of a deal. But if you were to go from green to red, that's a big deal.
Unless you're colorblind.
unless you're colorblind. It's this whole weird thing of how like, worship leaders will trick you at church, and they have like this little 5 or 6 chord turnaround where they can change keys and you won't even realize that they changed keys in between songs.
Yeah.
And it's the equivalent of that, but in the color world. And I was like, you guys are sneaky. And so now, like, I'm kind of half paying attention to John Mulaney and half paying attention to when's the lighting going to change again. And because now I'm trying to think of, like, did they choreograph this with the jokes? Like, is it?
Oh,
he's talking
is
about
there meaning to this?
Yeah. Are they going to like go to a darker color when he's talking about the time in rehab or something or whatever? And no, it just seems to be random, which upset my heart a little bit. But
so it's on a slow rotation between all those colors.
Yeah.
That's a risky move, actually, because if I understand the way a lot of comedy specials are filmed, they will shoot for sure 2, sometimes 3 of the same thing. A comedian will have in one night, he might do 2, and maybe the next night he does a third taping.
Yeah. And then whenever they show like audience crowds, that's just always the same audience. But
yeah, sometimes that is different because I've watched some where like the people in the front row change, which is a weird, risky, like most people don't know, but like whatever. So, and then they take the best reactions or the best delivery of a bit and they splice that all together. It'd be funny if like he tells the punchline on Blue, crowd reaction goes back to him reacting to the reaction and it's yellow. And you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they would choose to do a color changing thing when you know you're going to end up splicing together a few different. That's funny. And it's hilarious that you picked up on it.
It was just a weird, quirky little thing that I was just found myself paying attention to, and I couldn't put any rhyme or reason as to why they were doing it, other than I could think of some like maybe some psychological reasons why you would want the backdrop to change. Just maybe it would be like less dull for people in seats watching, and they'd pay attention if things are changing, even if they don't realize they're changing or something. I don't know, but that's the best I could figure out. I don't necessarily trust my police work.
You're like the guy who wrote in or called in to one of the major networks carrying a golf tournament and was like, that bird is not native to where that golf tournament is taking place. You're piping in bird noises to increase the ambiance.
That's exactly who I am. We might find out some more about who I am, about who Kory is. We'll find what we're going to be talking about. We've already done streaming. We'll see. Find out after we hear from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media.
Hey, I'm Lauren.
And I'm John.
And we host the Beard Al Podcast, the podcast where we talk about 2 of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al.
And a lot of other things. We're funny.
Yeah, that's basically what I told him to say. Good job with your script.
Listened.
Yay! But no, seriously, we try and pair a beer with a Weird Al song and talk about both things and go where the conversation takes us. It's fun, I promise. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you like talking about random things as well as, fine craft beers and some wonderful craft music.
All right, we're back. So a couple of weeks ago, the family and I had dinner at a place that we've had dinner at before, and we've had good experiences there. And but this most recent time that we went there, we had a server who, I mean, I'm not trying to be judgy, but looked like he might have been fresh out of rehab.
Hey.
And he very clearly did not from the get-go, we asked if we could put some tables together, and that concept confused him.
Off to a great start.
We're off to a wonderful start. And then and so we put tables together for us, and we're like, just all the protocols are wrong about are you going to ask us if we want drinks? And And then we had to repeat the drinks. We have 3 kids, and apparently the cadence of the ordering wasn't what he was expecting. And so he had questions about our drink orders.
Is he writing this down?
He is writing everything down.
Okay.
As far as we can tell. And then, drinks come out late and not all at the same time. And then we order food, and then that also is very confusing. Trying to order the right amounts of food and those kinds of things. And then like two kids meals, both of them cheeseburgers kind of thing. And then be like, okay, so that's like, so you need like a cheeseburger kids meal and then like another cheeseburger. Like, no, 2 cheeseburger kids meals. There's 2 kids right here. Both of them eat their own cheeseburger kids meal. Like, I didn't understand this stuff. I'm not getting upset with the guy, just kind of like taking note. Like, sometimes this happens. You get a server but then like food starts coming out wrong. And like I said, we've been to this place before. Everything has been great. So I don't think it's the kitchen. I think it's this guy not understanding what we're saying and writing it down wrong, miscommunicating to the kitchen. And I'm observing this guy and his other tables and finding out that this is happening everywhere for this guy. We missed like 2 different kinds of sauces at our table once the food did eventually come out. And so I had to like flag him down to get these sauces, which again took forever. And I mentioned that specifically because on 2 other occasions, I'm noticing him bringing just sauces to other tables.
Okay.
So he's forgetting sauces.
Okay. Can I interrupt with some questions?
Yes.
Setting. Is this a fast casual Americana burgery type place?
This is it's a bar in the evenings, restaurant during the day kind of burgery Americana place.
But a chain or a mom and pop?
Mom and pop.
Okay. And how long approximately from the time you walked in until the time that your main food showed up?
That I don't know. Possibly. I mean, it wasn't ridiculous, just a little more than average for this place, maybe a half hour or so.
I'm getting my horrible experience at Outback Steakhouse in Independence, Ohio is coming back to me. One more question.
Yeah.
One more question. How is he reacting when he's clearly messing up little things or not understanding? Is he like, he's not even showing on his face that he's messing up, like you're the problem? Or is he like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, is he apologetic?
He's not like he's apologetic. He's not like the hyper apologetic. Oh, I'm sorry. But more of the like bashful, I'm going to giggle at myself kind of, oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. Kind of thing.
I need to set the stage. Okay. This is good. Keep going.
So this is top 5 of the worst service experiences that I have had as a consumer. But this guy, I had the feeling that he was like really trying, and so much was going wrong for him that just the way that he didn't seem to understand how to even talk to us and those kinds of things. I made the assumption that he has never been a server before anywhere else. And this is his first day ever. Like, and so the moment that, like, at least in my own mind, put that together, I start having compassion for this guy. And I'm not mad at the bad service anymore. Like the service got so bad that I'm not mad anymore. not because I got complacent, but because like I think that this guy needs a chance, right?
It's like if traffic is so bad that the only explanation is that somebody's dead a mile up the road.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm not even mad anymore.
Yeah. I will gladly sit here. So yeah. So it was that kind of situation. What I wanted to know from you, for anybody out there, has that thought ever crossed your mind? We've all had bad service, but has it ever crossed your mind that it was so bad that you were not just guessing, but you were convinced that this is like day one, not only at the new place, but you've never been a server before, and you probably have never even eaten out at a restaurant before because you didn't know anything. And question 2, if that's the case, how do you tip that situation?
Ugh.
We love tipping etiquette questions. I love tipping etiquette questions.
Awesome question.
I pondered that question sitting at the table that day.
So the fact that you're observing any of that, I would say you're already in the minority. I think most people just are having bad service and are buried in their conversation and pop their head up and realize that their stuff still isn't there and are just like, oh, they're not like looking around, making micro observations about his body language, how busy he is, how the other tables are doing. The fact that you picked up on the lighting changes in John Mulaney's stand-up special. So like you're already more observant and therefore are making some of those assessments on your own. You're also a nice guy. And so once it transcends bad service, you're like, something must be up for the service to be this poor. What else could be going on here? And I think that is another leap that the average person isn't going to make. They're just going to be even more upset. So that's my comments on the first one. Once you realize that, then you have the choice of going, what stood out to me in spite of the bad service? And what I heard you say was like, he was legitimately trying and he was apologetic. He wasn't overly apologetic, but he was legitimately, it felt like he was trying his best. He just didn't know what to do in certain moments.
Yeah.
So then I think you just almost tip regular, like you're 15 or 20 and go, hey man. And I would want to though somehow still acknowledge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like go, hey man, I could tell you were struggling a little bit there. Not sure if this is your first go, but like I knew you were trying and that really mattered. And so here, like without demeaning him, somehow call it out.
Right,
it reminds me of when we were talking about this before about my Outback Steakhouse story, and Sherry told our kids that she once totally forgot about a table. Not like, oh, it was a long time before I was able to get to them. Like legitimately totally forgot that they were there. And the way that the guy responded once she finally did realize it and correct everything and give them extra attention, he gave her an even more than the average tip and said, hey, you're going to do great. You realized your mistake. Like he acknowledged it. He said something, right? So I think, I think you find a thoughtful way. The words I use might not be the best words, but like, hey man, I know you're really trying. Have a great day. Like to acknowledge it was subpar. You need to know that it affected our experience, but still here you go.
Oh yeah. That's so much better than what I did.
Okay. What'd you do?
Well, no, I didn't do anything bad. I just, now that you're mentioning all that, like I wish I would have like shook the guy's hand and said something encouraging. I left a normal tip is what I did. That's what I decided to do. Because I was indecisive. So I was like, I don't want to, I don't want to punish the dude.
Right.
But there's also that, like, you know, the what's it called? The idea of those who achieve are those who did well.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
My brain is just tired.
It's okay.
Meritocracy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
The that part of me, the meritocracy part of me is saying, I don't want to overtip this. Even if I do respect the guy in his hustle, over tipping doesn't make him better.
doesn't send the right message. Like,
Right.
you're not,
Yeah.
again, it's like what you said earlier when you're like not trying to be judgy, but he looked like he could have come from rehab. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm still making an observation. Am I bad for making an observation? He's not doing well. And then I kind of go, he needs to know he's not doing well because I care about him doing better. So how do I let him know he's not doing well, but without stiffing him?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I ended up going right down the middle, no note on the check or anything like that. And now, like when you were talking, I'm like, that is such a great idea. That is what I should have done. I should have handed him his tip, be it a normal tip or not, and be like, hey, I just wanted to hand this to you personally. It looks like you were struggling a little bit out there. And
go get him, Tiger.
I just wanted to be encouraging. Yeah. I'm giving you a tip because we got through this together.
Yeah. And put him on your side then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. And now I wonder, would it be weird if I like stopped in tomorrow with $5?
No. No. Hey,
do you remember me from like 3 weeks ago, the people with the big confusing, like putting tables together situation
and the whole weird 2 kids wanted 2 kids meals? I know that really threw you, but like in the off chance that you weren't fired by now, I wanted to come in and just offer you a little something to let you know that eventually I believe in you.
It took me, I've been thinking about you.
I talked about it on a podcast, actually. Subscribe today.
I've had to talk to my friends about my experience with you that day, and you've just been on my mind. And I had to come back and see you.
I needed to talk to you about this. Oh, that's so funny. It's like when Nate Bargatze jokes about the server that he had and how he wants to like legitimately track this woman down and ask her questions about their exchange. Well, here's another one for you. So like, I don't know. Let us know. Do you like these sort of like over analyzing like these little social experiences and etiquette things? I personally love them. I think they're hilarious. So we're just going to keep going with it.
Yeah, do it.
Sherry was gone in the back half of last week, so I was at home with all 3 kids by myself, managing the work and 3 kids' different athletic schedules. And now 1 kid can drive, so that's nice, but it still means a lot of running to and fro. And one morning we wake up and Chloe, our middle, goes to feed the dogs, and she's like, "Dad, we're out of dog food." And I'm like, "Oh crap!" And because we were out of dog food, 2 of the dogs got sick in the house, and so I got a lot of stuff going on with work. It's we're all being asked to do a lot more with a lot less. And so we're wearing a lot of hats, and it's just a little stressful with work stuff. And I, in general, like to go to Kroger late night anyway, because it's quiet and you don't bump into a bunch of people and get into side conversations. So I personally, even as a people person, I like to go to Kroger late at night. So I literally just need a 50-pound bag of dog food, and I might grab a box of Swiss rolls while I'm there. So I know they close at 10. It's 9:45 and it's just at the entrance to our neighborhood. So I run out. I'm walking up. It's like, it might have been like 9:40 when I realized. Whatever. The point is, I'm walking up to Kroger at a quarter till close when another shopper pushing her cart out to the parking lot looks at her watch and then looks at me and goes, "Hey, they close in 15 minutes. You better get on it." And I was like, that's interesting. Not rude. It wasn't overly rude. It was kind of like she did a little haha at the end to sort of soften it. And then I walk in and I see what's probably like a late night stock person. Yeah. I walk through the doors. Of course, I use the force with my hand to open the sliding door.
Of course you did. Yeah.
And I walk backwards through the checkout, and the stock person looks at her watch and goes, kind of gives me the old, like, it's a quarter till.
Yeah.
It's not 9:58.
Yeah.
So without thinking, I go, 2 items. I'm here for 2 items. A little rude, But I was like, I've now had 2 people remind me what time Kroger closes.
Yeah. I'm a dude. All right. That means I'm here to get what I'm going to get. And
I'm
then
a hunter,
gonna leave.
not a gatherer,
this
baby.
Is how...
I'm gonna go right to it. So I not only grab 2 items, I grab 4 items. I go through the self-checkout. I see that same stock person on the other side now of the cash register, and I go, 7 minutes to spare. And then I walk out. She goes, good for you. And then I get to my car and realize I left one of the bags back at the I was in such a hurry to like poke her back about the whole that I was there that I forgot one of the bags. Anyway,
walk of shame. You had to walk of shame again.
We're in a small, quiet little town.
Yeah.
Like there was maybe 5 cars in the parking lot. But I don't understand why that warranted 2 comments from an employee and a total stranger that I was there 15 minutes before close.
Yeah.
And
what's
I'm
funny
over here
is
now talking about it on my podcast 2 days later.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, I don't think the customer and the employee colluded with one another. I don't think that they were in on it together. Those were 2 isolated events.
I thought it was possible. It ran through my mind, though, that they're family members or friends.
That's possible.
And she's like the first person's protecting her friend or relative, protecting in quotes, right? Like,
yeah.
We all know how annoying it is when you're trying to close up and like one person strolls in and has a 30-minute shopping spree.
But it's still 2 events, unless they saw you pulling up and that customer was checking out and they said, oh, there's that car right there. We need to say something to that guy. You get him in the parking lot.
I'll get him
when it comes. So I guess I have to leave room for that possibility. But let's say, for example, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
That these are 2 isolated events. The first one, it sounds like they probably just thought they were having a halfway funny kind of little pleasant exchange. So I'm not worried about that one at all. The second one, though, I could see a situation where that person was like, I was trying to be funny, and this guy was a complete asshole. I could see that. Like
2 items.
Like he's got no chill. Like
0 chill.
He came in with a backwards hat and a hipster beard. Like I knew that he's like a man of the people. He's aware of what time we close. He doesn't want to hold me up. I knew all of that about him.
Oh gosh, it's so funny.
Man, he went after me.
2 items. 2 items.
I think that's possible. It's also what I think the most likely scenario is they were annoyed to watch you come in the door. They wanted to make damn sure that you weren't going to keep them away from their 10 o'clock 5th meal.
By the way, I was a 3rd shift stock boy at Kroger. I know that you're going to be there for another 4 hours lining items up on the shelf. It doesn't really make a massive. It's not like a mom and pop bar where you can be mopping up and like turning the chairs upside down and putting them on the tables. And the minute the last patron leaves, you can lock up and go home. You're going to be there for another 4 hours. You're going to be there
for a while. Yeah, that's a good point. You said it was a stock boy who had. Yeah, man.
Weird little exchanges, man.
I wouldn't be worried about it until the comment "good for you," and then that tells me that they picked up on the shade that you were throwing.
Good for you.
So, how did it go going back in to get your bag? Like, did you have to talk to anybody then?
No, there was 2 other shoppers behind me. And they were like, we were wondering whose this was. And I was like, yeah, I was trying to get out of here fast. So I didn't have to like eat crow in front of the person necessarily.
Yeah, that's what
she definitely saw me though. She was like, oh, you forgot your bag, Mr. Smarty Pants, trying to go all fast.
Yeah. Now you're only 4 minutes to spare. So
It's like, it's scary to me that you could have had an awkward little interaction like that or something similar dating back to, say, your junior high days. And those things still pop up in your mind in
yeah.
your late 30s on an annual basis. Like that time that person said that thing, and you're still thinking about it. And
Yeah.
it colors some of your interactions today. And this is where I'll plug a really good book that I read on this called Soundtracks by John Acuff. And he talks about that. You have all these little and micro interactions that happen that color how you move through the world today. And some of those
Right.
just need like shut down. Like they're not serving you in any way.
Yeah.
And like you just need to replace those soundtracks with like more positive things. Those little things that are on repeat. I mean, it's really just anxiety and whatever and stress and whatever. But
right.
man, it's so funny how little things like that can come back, and with such clarity, you can flash back to that exchange where you said that thing and someone misinterpreted it, and then you felt stupid, and then
Mm-hmm. And our brains will actually change that memory too to make it worse. If
100%,
right,
100%.
it's crazy. Yeah, I think it also doesn't help that it's like you and me are talking to each other like we're the two insane ones running the asylum right now.
If only
It's
Dillon
over.
were here. We never mentioned, by the way, that Dillon wasn't here or why he wasn't here.
Great, now he's going to hate us.
He's on a plane somewhere for work. I texted him and said, "Hey man, don't forget we're recording tonight," because he totally forgot we were recording last week. And he's like, "I'm on a plane. I'll do my best." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So anyway, that's where Dillon is. You'll get to enjoy his hilarity and his wit next week.
I'm sure he'll have
That's fun.
plane stories next week.
Oh man, we need another good travel story from Dillon.
We do. We do.
Good stuff. Well, this has been fun, man. Anything else before we close out?
Oh no, I don't think so.
All right. Hey, let me just show you what my buddy Stefan got me. This little hang.
Oh yeah,
Because I always do this in pictures because
you do.
Because I like to culturally appropriate Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
The hang loose sign. No, it's just because my wife and I love Hawaii. But anyway, so Stefan got me this hang loose thing and signed it. And yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Well, hey, thanks for hanging loose with us this week. We love hanging out with you and hope you find the hour that you spend with us comical and fun and relaxing and enjoyable. And maybe it just takes your mind off of rude people in your life that don't serve your food on time or are upset that you go to their establishments 15 minutes before close. So thanks for tuning in. We love you. Do visit our sponsor, Artius Man. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. They have amazing men's grooming products. If you've got a beard, a hipster beard that you would like to keep well groomed and smelling great and silky smooth with oils and balms and lotions, or if you've got hair at all that you want shampoo and conditioner for, or if you have a house that could use a fresh smell or a fresh scent, they have amazing soy blend woodwick candles. That's artiusman.com. As I mentioned before, use promo code The Middle. That's The Middle, all one word, at checkout, and you will get 25% off. Yes, 25. That's almost a fourth off of your first order. And it will help us. It will help them. It will help you because you will get amazing products made by a company here in Sunbury, Ohio. All natural ingredients. It's good stuff. They take great care of their customers. So thanks, Artius Man. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next week on From the Middle.
Bye-bye.